Hello, everybody, and welcome to KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org. We're streaming everywhere on this blue and green marble. We can get into your ear hole, and we love to do it. And I'm here. It's the independence celebration of our country. Don't you love our country? We're independent now. We're an independent country. And we're celebrating it with boom booms and bang bangs. I, however, will celebrate it with explaining to you cannabis legalization, cannabis news in general, and maybe what is China lying about this time. I got another fun segment of that coming up. Like I said, I never knew that they would always, that China's got so much fake stuff over there. Fake pandas, fake bears, like people dressed up as bears in zoos. And we got another one for you. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 4:20. Stick around for that. It is the 4th of July. I'm in the building. Again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. We're going to talk about cannabis today, so I hope you're willing to listen. I've got updates on the new economic frontier measure that's being pushed. I can tell you right now it'll be on the ballot, so that's exciting if you're into that sort of thing. We will discuss that through this hour. Again, if you've got plans, be safe out there. You need your fingers and you need your toes for something. I don't know what you need it for, but I would probably just recommend if you could keep them unblown off your body, you're going to be happier. You're going to be happier. All right? So, anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I get in here every Thursday, 4 o'clock. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that, my friends, is happening. I'm excited to bring it to you. I just been hanging out all day just waiting to do this. This is the only thing. This is like this and naps. That's what's happening for me today. Nap before the show and nap after the show. Maybe I'll eat something, too, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'll shoot a few bottle rockets out over the window above the Bismarck. Maybe not. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, and I show him props every Sunday. Antioch Pentecostal Church, 417 Main Avenue, 10 a.m. recovery. If you've got a monkey on your back, or you've ripped the monkey off your back, but you can still feel that little banana eater pulling on your pant leg, come on through. Recovery's got what you need. We can introduce you to the man upstairs. Nothing's no addiction's too big for that man. 11 a.m. worship, I'm on stick duty. We're doing brand new songs. Because, again, next Thursday I won't be here. I'll be up at our Bible camp smacking the skins for the Lord. So next Thursday, no Canna-Talk ND, but the Thursday after that. And this Thursday, right now, it's happening. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, 1,200 bigs of locally grown hemp CB Dizzle, whipped up into a big flurry of fun stuff for your outer body. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. It's kind of a nice day out. I don't know, 4th of July in your neck of the woods. It's usually rainy. You know, that's just kind of how nature gets down for us. Same thing with like Memorial Day, Labor Day. If it's nice on those days, you just ain't doing it right. So anyway, welcome to the show. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, like I said. 4:20, we'll open a big fat bag of cannabis news. I got some independent type music. No, I don't. Just picking and foot stomping. So that's the American way, isn't it? So let's jump right into it. Except, let's not jump right into it. Let me read this first. You're listening to Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 KRFF LP Community Radio. You a business owner? You a manager? Nonprofit organization? You considering advertising? Well, come on over. Why not learn what underwriting is on a nonprofit community radio station instead? To learn more about what underwriting is, please contact us at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org, or our profile on Facebook. Why not let listeners know that you support the community by supporting a community radio station, 95.9. Again, we depend on your contributions to pay our bills. Underwriting and show sponsorships covers only a portion. We are community nonprofit radio. We volunteer. We keep our expenditures to an absolute minimum. We don't get no government funding. We get no monies. Thus far, we receive no grant money. So hook us up. www.radiofreefargo.org and make your contribution via our donation button. Now, let's get some tunes going. Here's Paul Thorne Too blessed to be stressed. 95.9.
Too blessed to be stressed. Too blessed.
And that's how you do it. Shoot 'em up. It's the 4th of July. Everybody, welcome to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That was Too Blessed to be Stressed. Paul Thorne. We're getting it off to a big old bang here. Big old bottle rocket to the face. That's how we do it. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. We talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis in general, and then just some sort of crazy stories. As like I said, word on the streets in November, whether this gets voted in or not, I'm going to revamp up my subject matter, and I'm going to talk about crazy stories in the world because there's so much crazy stuff going on. I feel like I could fill an hour with some wild stuff, and I'm going to give you a taste of that now so you can kind of see where we're heading here in a few months. But New Economic Frontier, that's the group that was pushing the measure. They were getting signatures. They do now have, in fact, the signatures, so you can expect to see that on the ballot. Now, we'll talk about it more at 4:20 when we open a big fat bag of cannabis news. But just as a teaser, if you're a North Dakota resident and you're pro-cannabis and you think that it should be legalized, now's your shot. So talk to people, get out, do the education. It can't just be done by one person. Everybody got to talk about it, you know, because there is naysayers. And I don't know, like if you're experienced with the plant, it's easy to think that, you know, the naysayers they're just uneducated, you know, but we'll see. We'll see. And again, New Economic Frontier has sufficiently grabbed enough signatures to be on the November ballot when you vote. So when you vote, I encourage you to vote yes, but you're your own person. You know, we're celebrating the freedom of the nation, and you also have freedom as a voter to do what you feel. But this is my job to kind of explain that cannabis isn't as demonic and horrible as you may think, and there's a lot of benefits. And it's just not all THC in that plant. It ain't just THC. There's all kinds of stuff. And if you ain't danced with the CBN yet for a little nighttime sleepy poo, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, again, after November, after we voted, and hopefully, I'm hoping I can retire out. I've been doing this show for 5 years now. I'm hoping I can shoot out with a bang and we vote it in. But we'll talk about it. Nothing's for sure until it's for sure. But when that happens, I'll be doing crazy stories like this. This is from the BBC. And like I said, I've been discussing these crazy news stories. And it just seems like the stories that come out of China are them pretending something is something it's not. Like the panda dogs. They weren't pandas. They were dogs. Dyed up like pandas. Everybody's like, what? It's not even real. Same deal with the last story I talked about this bear standing in the pit in the zoo. Which, what a horrible job if that was a guy in a bear suit, right? I mean, what's he eating? Honey? I don't know. But I got another one for you because I just thought, well, that's all that we'll need to talk about, right? It's just the bear and the fake dogs. That's the only thing China's faking. Au contraire. This is from the BBC. Hiker finds pipe feeding China's tallest waterfall. Here, the waterfall ain't even real. Okay, let's talk about it. Controversy over a waterfall has cascaded into a social media storm in China, even prompting an explanation from the water body itself. Now, when we say water body itself, are you telling me the waterfall called in? This is the waterfall. I'm real. What? How can the water body itself call? Huh? What? I don't know. A hiker posted a video, that showed the flow of water from Yuntai Mountain Waterfall, billed as China's tallest uninterrupted waterfall, was coming from a pipe built high into the rock face. Operators of the park said that they had made the small enhancement during the dry season so visitors would feel that their trip had been worthwhile. But what's real anymore, right? I mean, enhancements. The one about how I went through all the hardship to the source of the Yunta waterfall only to see a pipe. The topic, the origin of Yunta waterfall is just some pipes, began trending all over social media. They asked the operators to learn a lesson from the incident and explain the enhancements to tourists ahead of time. The park later posted on behalf of the waterfall saying, "I didn't expect to meet everyone this way. As a seasonal scenery, I can't guarantee that I'll be in my most beautiful form every time you come to see me." Now remember, this is a quote from the waterfall. Okay? The waterfall called in. "I made a small enhancement during the dry season only so I'd look my best to meet my friends." That's crazy. That's crazy. So here's the thing. Apparently, the largest waterfall in China has had a little enhancement to it. A pipe. So is it a waterfall or is it a hose? Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 4:20. We're going to do a musical break, though, of course. And then we're going to come back around and we're going to do it. 4:20. Stick around. Free range chicken. Andy Wood, 95.9. Woo, what a romp. Free range chicken. That's Andy Wood and Brent Mason blowing out the doors of your little shack. Everybody, let's do it. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. It's time to open a big fat bag of cannabis news, so let's do it right now. All right, everybody, put on your seatbelt. I'm going to see you on the other side of this, okay?
Hey, it's Phil from Canna-Heads. Like this episode? Hit that like button. And if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on cannabis news, local and national. Listen live on 95.9 in the Fargo, North Dakota region from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. For our non-Fargo region friends, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Now enjoy the show.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do it, shall we? Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is 4:20 on the 4th of July. I know you probably are busy, but you can always check this out again on YouTube minus the music on Tuesdays. And you can also go to RadioFreeFargo.org, go to the show, type in, it's just a section, you hit click show, and you can listen to this up to 9 days after. So if you're a North Dakota resident, and I'm from North Dakota, so we're going to just lead with this. New Economic Frontier, they have been promoting and pushing their cannabis measure that'll be on the ballot because they say we did it 2 days ago. We are thrilled to announce that we've reached our signature goal with less than a week to spare before the deadline. This incredible achievement wouldn't have been possible without the hard work, dedication, and support from all y'all. So that's straight from the horse's mouth. It's going to be able to be voted on in November. So now it's just a matter of getting out the word. And again, there's an article, and I'm going to touch on here. Apparently, a poll shows that the support isn't what we think. But again, polls are polls, and we'll see when the smoke clears. You see what I did there? When the smoke clears. But anyway, I wanted to talk about New Economic Frontier a bit because I had some questions. And I was talking about them on the air, and I've got some answers for that. And the questions were, well, what happens if you've got more than what you're supposed to have, or what happens, like the smell and whatever. And so apparently they have a section called the Good Civil Liberties Protection. Like, what happens if you've got more than the ounce? And apparently, I was curious about, whether or not homegrown plant producing too much, because you're not going to be able to control that. So, like I said, I got information about that. It says no later than October 1, 2025, the department shall adopt rules as necessary for the implementation and administration of this chapter, meaning the home grow, including transportation and storage of cannabis and adult use products, advertising, packaging, blah, 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 blah. So that is going to be there. Now, it also says possession of more than an OZ and less than 2 ounces is a $250 fine, which, you get 6 of them a day or a week. The state is going to make some money from that, because, but again, if you got more than an ounce and less than 2, how are they figuring that out? How do they know that? Because apparently, the civil liberties, Section B. Okay, so let me just read this. Except when law enforcement is investigating whether an individual is driving or in physical control of any motor vehicle, snowmobile, etc., or other motorized forms while under the influence, like except for that stuff, okay? The following, alone or together, do not constitute reasonably articulable suspicion of a crime: the odor of cannabis or burnt cannabis, the possession or suspicion of possession of cannabis without evidence of quantity in excess of allowable amount. But then how can you say more than an ounce and less than 2 is a fine? Because the suspicion of quantity in excess, you would have to find out if it's more than an ounce or less than 2. So I'm not sure. I don't know. We're not sure. The possession of multiple containers of cannabis without evidence of quantity in excess of the allowable amount. So again, they're not going to be able to pursue it. So if you've got more, apparently you're going to be good. I mean, barring the fact that you're on a ski-doo, smoking bong rips by the Coast Guard. Because, the Coast Guard in North Dakota, it exists. Just kidding. It doesn't exist. There's no Coast Guard. We don't have a coast. I mean, I don't know why I'm educating you guys. If you thought there was an ocean in North Dakota, there ain't much hope for you. But anyway, new economic frontier. So you're going to be able to grow 4 plants. Well, you're going to be able to grow. I don't know how many right now because it's the 4th of July and I can't think. But, again, it's exciting. You're going to be able to vote in November. Let me read this now. This is from Cannabis Moment. Okay. The title is this: North Dakota activists say they have collected enough signatures to put it on the ballot. So, after months of hard work, they say, and incredible community support. So it was interesting that they were able to get close to 16,000. They got more than that in just a couple of months. I mean, it was barely 2 months. So now, me personally, that's indicative of, say, the popularity and just the organized push that these guys did, and they got into spots that nobody prior got into. I mean, nobody was able to come up with a drive-through, event in Minot, right? Like Tochi, sure, Joe's cool, I get it, but Minot, I don't know. Devil's Lake, you could drive up to a dispensary and sign in Devil's Lake. That was, that's completely a new kind of phenomenon in the push in North Dakota as far as being acceptable, to be allowed in places we never could get in. When we were doing it, we were stuck almost along the Red River Valley. But this is a push out of Bismarck, and every time it's been voted on, Cass County has come correct. And so if we just get a little bit of love from the rest of the state, I feel like it's good. So once we know the bill's going to be on the ballot, then it turns into opportunities to talk about what cannabis can do for North Dakota from a judicial and law enforcement perspective, says Steve. So we're going to see what's going on. There's a lot of different layers on this, and giving the public the information to make their own decision as a voter is vitally important. I believe so, too. He added that the intent of the proposal is not to create an unfettered recreational law in North Dakota, but it's still very important to us that it's regulated and it has oversight, license, and tax, whatever. Okay, now, here's where we are now. A recent poll signals that the campaign has its work cut out for them. However, with a majority of likely North Dakota voters opposing the cannabis measure as activists neared the finish line to collect enough signatures. Okay, now I don't put a lot of faith in polls per se, because nobody asked me, but I wasn't a part of this poll. The survey from the founder of Independent Political Action Committee, Brighter Future Alliance, found that 57% of voters are against the cannabis measure compared to 43% who are in favor, which is pretty good. New Economic Frontier filed its initiative with the state and formally launched the campaign in April. For y'all that don't know, it's for 21 and older. You're going to be able to have 1 ounce of flower. Now, if you have more than that and under 2, it's a $250 fine. Now, what happens if you have 3? Does that become a criminal act? I don't know. So there'll be some questions that need to be answered as we go along here. I think primarily if they can convince the naysayers that it is conservative and that it is good and it's not bad, we're going to be good. So adults could also grow up to 3 plants for personal use with a 6-plant cap per household. And like I said, the regulators would need to establish rules to implement by October 1st, 2025 in regards to, with this home grow. In Minnesota, there's a lawsuit about home grow, and I'm going to play something here for you in regards to that. Now, South Dakota law banning intoxicating hemp products. Before I go any further, just to recap, New Economic Frontier has successfully got enough signatures. You are going to be able to vote for cannabis in November, y'all. So now you just got to do your due diligence and get out and talk and, talk to people. See what's up, see what they think. I mean, we are a conservative state, but this is a conservative law, and there's just, I think people are crazy not to, because even if you're like, it's still going to be an income, and I can assure you, the neighborhood isn't going to, we're not going to lose the neighborhood. It's not fentanyl, all right? And I would argue it's not even booze, and you're fine with booze. If you're fine with booze, then vote for cannabis, because it's not going to cause any more or less problems than that vodka swilling abusive husband. I can assure you. So, South Dakota is banning intoxicating hemp products, and it's going to take effect after judge declines to block it, which is kind of interesting because, judges don't block laws, do they? So a new law barring the production or sale of high-inducing hemp-derived cannabis products, and it's just crazy to me, it's just hilarious how criminals just always seem to be, if you consider them criminals. I think, they're more along the lines of geniuses, but loopholes are great. I mean, everybody looking for a loophole. And if you knew that, why provide one? Why did the 2018 federal farm bill have a loophole? Some people argue it's because they wanted it to be legal as well. They wanted it to be legal. They just didn't want to say it. So they just provided a loophole for the smarty smart people to figure it out. Because that THCA, what a scam, isn't it? I mean, everything's THCA. I mean, from the beginning of time, cannabis has been THCA until you stuck a lighter to it and then the A fell off. Everybody knew that. So a violation of the new law will be a Class 2 misdemeanor, which I don't know what that means. But South Dakota, and everybody's putting the smack down. I don't think North Dakota, I don't think it's legal anywhere here for any of those other cannabinoids. This is kind of a interesting thing. Ganjapreneur here. Kentucky's largest school district. And I didn't realize when they said largest school district that there's other school districts that aren't as big in Kentucky. Wouldn't they just all be one district? I don't know. Kentucky's largest school district approved student medical cannabis policy. The largest district in Kentucky approved a policy allowing students to use prescribed medical cannabis treatments while at school. Members of Kentucky Jefferson County Board approved a policy allowing students to take prescribed cannabis on school property, which is awesome. The policy requires medical cannabis to be administered out of the view of other students. Oh, so they can't what? They can't burn a joint in the lunchroom? What do they got to do? Kentucky's cannabis law allows cannabis use administration on school grounds, but the district must approve a policy first. Now, the policy is no different than school nurses, nurse practitioners, or other trained staff administering other controlled substances like Ritalin or Adderall. Medical cannabis is not yet available in Kentucky. Well, what? What? Then what are we talking about here? Well, what's it got to do with anything? If medical cannabis ain't allowed, then why? How can it be allowed in the school? It must be coming, right? I don't live in Kentucky, and neither do you, unless you do. So, again, North Dakota has gathered enough signatures. Now, here's something that I think you guys should probably Google yourself. Because something happened here, and I don't know what it is. This Chevron doctrine. Okay. Let me just read the title here. Okay. How will Supreme Court ruling affect cannabis rescheduling? Apparently, the Chevron doctrine In the past, courts handed over their judicial power to interpret to the actual subject matter experts in the room, the regulators. So the consequences of the ruling, and I just don't know. I just don't know what this means. But speculation about what consequences the Chevron ruling might present for existing state-regulated cannabis markets. Now, if you're a nerd and you want to get into this, then call me in 2 Thursdays, because next Thursday I won't be in here. And call me or email me, GWEENMANIZZLE 2008 at Hotmail, that you want to call in and explain to me what in the world, why they would say the Supreme Court ruling would affect the cannabis rescheduling. What's up with the Chevron policy? I don't know. I try to read it, and I just get confused. So it sounds important. I just don't know. I need somebody to explain the Chevron doctrine in relation to it messing up cannabis rescheduling. Now, Florida is going to be able to vote on it. The governor's cannabis opposition campaign, guess how much it's raised? $10,000. The PAC formed by DeSantis to oppose the state's legalization vote, they've just gotten about $10,000. So it's not a very popular thing. And it's Amendment 3. So Measure 3. So they formed to oppose the upcoming initiative, and they've just raised $10,000. Its slow fundraising start could signal the general disinterest in the anti-cannabis campaign. Because, again, there's just so much stuff going on in our world that kind of trumps it. You know? It kind of trumps it. So the Florida's proposed ballot initiative would amend the state constitution to legalize cannabis. Under state law, they need at least 60% voter support to pass. A Fox News poll last month found that 2/3 of Florida voters support the upcoming blah, 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 blah. So we'll see how that goes. Now, San Diego lab warns of concerning pesticide levels in cannabis products, which is interesting, and we'll go ahead and listen to that now.
New at 7, it's being called the dirty little secret in the state's cannabis industry. Legal cannabis contaminated with harmful pesticides. ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen visited a San Diego testing lab spearheading a campaign to shine a light on cannabis safety.
You can see the peaks here.
At Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, emerging from a heap of charts and numbers is a question.
From a health perspective, how concerning are your findings?
Oh, I think it's very concerning.
Concern, says Lab Director Eric Paulson, that was first raised by clients in the cannabis industry in the fall, causing the lab to begin screening products across the industry for pesticides.
Infinite Chemical Analysis tested hundreds of samples like this vape product. In the end, about 5 to 10% came back with pesticide levels exceeding state standards.
Paulson says most of the 80 pesticide-laden samples were vape products.
Because those tend to concentrate the highest levels of pesticides.
According to Paulson, some of the samples they tested had 1 pesticide, while others had upwards of 25. And while some of the cannabis had pesticide levels just above state standards, some were far worse.
Some of the levels that we're seeing are hundreds to thousands of times higher than what the state allows.
Paulson says the motivation for using pesticides is a familiar one, greater profits. He says during the growing process, pesticides are either sprayed on directly, found in the soil, or drift from other farms.
Using pesticides is a cheaper way to achieve higher yields and mitigate some of the problems that you might have.
As for health problems related to pesticide, Paulson says a few of the identified pesticides can lead to acute issues like coughing and nausea, but the biggest concern is long-term exposure. Paulson's lab brought its findings to the state and the LA Times. Paulson says in a story published this past weekend, the newspaper's own investigation confirmed his lab's findings. The lab's campaign for more awareness appears to be producing results. Last week, the state recalled one of the vape products identified in the testing.
The state needs to
crazy.
essentially get their lab up to the level that they would need to be able to really, truly surveil.
Well, that's crazy. And I don't know why I was able to still hear that. I thought I shut it off. But whatever. Maybe it's the PC. Okay. Yeah. All right. I see what I did there. All right. Sorry about that little kerfluffle. But yeah, that's, greed is always going to cause problems. But pesticides, it's interesting because I've been reading about this stinking cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, where you're waking up nauseous and you're throwing up, and it seems to be a new thing, and it comes off initially as a scare tactic. And I was reading somewhere, because it seems to be more prevalent than I thought, and they claim that it could possibly be from the pesticides that are being sprayed, and just the shortcuts that people are doing could very well be causing these other side effects that they're using to, kind of demonize cannabis, because it's a new phenomenon. And of course, everybody's talking about the high dosages. It's because cannabis is so much stronger. However, it could also be because you're spraying some funky funk on it, and then we're ingesting it. All right. Now, Minnesota farmers are questioning legality of a homegrown cannabis sales. And let's see, remote PC, auto PC. Anyway, I'm going to play that for you now. Here we go.
Marijuana is legal in Minnesota, but selling it is not. Not until the state issues some retail licenses, which will happen sometime next year.
But a small group of people says that there should not be a restriction on sales of homegrown cannabis. And Fox 9's Corin Hoggard is live in Minneapolis. So, Corin, they're suing the state based on a law that comes from the early 1900s.
Yeah, that's right, Kelsey and Amy. The state constitution actually changed in 1906 after a farmer was punished for selling his homegrown melons. Well, the Attorney General, though, of today says marijuana is a whole different story. Even in the hospital bed where he's recovering from a major surgery, Patrick McClellan has marijuana on his mind.
Do I use what I use?
The 57-year-old has muscular dystrophy and was among Minnesota's first medical marijuana patients. He started growing his own supply when the price tag got too high.
But unfortunately, this disease ended my career. So it's very necessary for me to supply my own meds, and I understand how important it is to supply them for other patients.
When it comes to supplying other patients, the new law says you can give away up to 2 ounces of homegrown cannabis, but you can't sell anything without a retail license. McClellan and 3 other men sued, saying Article 13, Section 7 of the state constitution says no license is required for selling homegrown farm or garden products. The Attorney General's office last week asked a judge to throw out the case. Their number one reason is they say cannabis plants are not a product of farms or gardens.
It's like saying that a tomato is not a tomato. We cannot give our lawmakers the ability to tell us that a plant is now not a plant.
The AG's office says sales of controlled substances require a license, and anyone growing cannabis has to follow all the rules and regulations in the new law. Plaintiff's attorney Jeff O'Brien agrees his clients couldn't sell marijuana to someone under 21, for example. But he says the state constitution opens the door for unlicensed sales on the small scale of what's allowed for home grows.
And we're not talking about someone being able to open up a dispensary or a large grow operation off of 8 plants, 4 of which are flowering.
Now, later this month, a judge is expected to rule on that motion to dismiss, although no matter what he rules, it's likely this case will be headed for an appellate court. Live in Minneapolis, Corin Hoggard, Fox 9.
And there you have it. So the government always likes to rewrite the rules. It's either growing and it's a plant or it's not. Pretty cut and dry for me. Nebraska, they're trying again. Man, and they need to get a lot of signatures for the medical cannabis. They got 114,000. They need 87,000 per measure. They've been trying. I think they must have got a new governor, so things might be a little better. New Economic Frontier in the state of North Dakota has gathered enough signatures. So if you're a North Dakota resident, you get to vote on cannabis in November. So that's exciting. And again, educate others on the benefits of cannabis so they can make an informed decision. And there's no pressure. It is what it is. And so I'm excited to see how it plays out. You're listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here 4 o'clock. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news. And that is happening as we speak. Of course, it's almost over. So if you're just showing up like a late stoner, you just missed it. bruh. You missed it, bruh. But anyway, it's 4th of July. We're celebrating the independence of our beautiful nation. So get out there. Stick a Roman candle in your pants for independence. Try to be safe. Try to keep all your fingers. I'm going to just, I've just got a date with another nap. I got 2 naps scheduled today. I didn't really get the first one I laid down, and that's about it. But again, I won't be in next Thursday. I'll be out at Bible camp playing my drum for the Lord. It's exciting because our little church has kind of been moving up in the world. We started as Monday night, and if you've ever been to a concert, the opening band ain't the greatest, right? You don't put the best band on Monday, and you don't put the best band as openers. Well, we've become Thursday's church band, and that's exciting because it just means that I'm awesome, for one, but it just means that we're getting better, and that is cool. Again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is what you're listening to now on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo, KRFF. It's an independent radio station. We get no money, so if you want to donate, why don't you? RadioFreeFargo.org. Hit the donation button. Help us, would ya? Help us. All right. Well, I'm going to read this now. Memory Fireworks, home of the Dakota and Memory Series, is locally owned and operated. With 3 convenient Fargo-Moorhead locations, they offer a large selection of fireworks from multi-shots to reloads, cones, fountains, and more. You can visit them online at memoryfireworks.com or stop by their Horace location, south of Fargo, exit 56. Now open daily from 10 to 5. This 4th of July, light up the sky with Memory Fireworks. Proud community partners of us, Radio Free Fargo. All right, well, let's get down. Here's Sugar Leg Rag, 95.9. Wow, Sugar Leg Rag, Daniel Donato on 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here in this beautiful radio station. 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and you, in fact, were here. You got to, absorb it. Next Thursday, I know here, I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, playing my music for God. But 2 Thursdays, I'll be back. So you'll have to just miss me for 1 week. I was sick last Thursday. Man, I don't know what the deal was. I mean, I woke up with the swims, just pretty nauseous. I was a little nauseous the second day, and then it was gone. I don't know what it was. But anyway, Stinky Art is no here, so we'll go right straight into automation with the AI robot Fred, spelled with a P. Educate yourselves on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, and I show improps every Sunday, Antioch Church, 417 Main Avenue, 10 a.m. We do a recovery class. If you've got a monkey on your back, or you've kicked said monkey off your back, but you can feel that little banana eater pulling on your pant leg, we believe the man upstairs can take care of what ails you in the dependency department. 11 a.m. worship. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, 1,200 mgs locally grown CBD hemp, whipped up into a tub with a lot of other stuff, colloidal silver, stuff for your outer body. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. I'm going to get out of here. I've got a nap ahead of me. Maybe not. I don't know. But again, be safe this Halloween, and I mean holiday. It's the 4th of July. We're celebrating the independence of our beautiful country. So, like I said, try not to blow your face off. Let's try to still be alive tomorrow. But again, have fun. Do your thing. I'm going to get out of here. It's Judgment Day. David Allen. Peace.